Greetings, I'm Rob Chapman.
And I'm the captain.
And the immortal question upon everybody's lips, Lee, is which guitar type should we start with? If we wanted to start playing guitar and there were many kinds, which one would you choose?
If only we could have come up with a slightly snappier video title, like, what kind of guitar is it best to learn on?
Yes.
So there are three basic kinds of guitar, aren't there really, Rob?
8-string, 7-string and 6-string.
If you exclude bass guitar and all the variants of stringed instruments like ukuleles and banjos and mandolins and stuff, your three basic kinds of guitar are a nylon string guitar, sometimes called a Spanish guitar, sometimes called a classical guitar. They are all variants of the same thing.
Aptly demonstrated, sir.
So that's one kind of guitar, and we'll come back to why that might be good or not in a minute. Another kind of guitar would be the old Western acoustic guitar, steel stringer guitar, sometimes called a dreadnought or a jumbo or a Western, but fundamentally same kind of idea as with the nylon strung one, but with steel strings. Get lots of different shapes and sizes of these, different colours. I must admit I've chosen a blue one, don't know why, but most of them will look more like that colour.
Interesting. Do you know why these guitars have steel strings?
No.
Slide.
That's the only reason, is it?
You can't do slide on nylons.
But that's fundamentally what drove the sort of the steel string.
It is what I have heard.
So you can hear very different sounding to the nylon string, much brighter, much louder. You might be picking up the volume in here.
That sounds great.
There you go. Different sound. Or, of course, the third kind of guitar that you could learn to play on, Monsieur Robert,
is an electrical guitar from Electric. Like this here, East Coast.
So, in case
Wait a minute, Lee. This guitar isn't just a guitar.
It's not just a guitar.
No, it comes with an amplifier as well.
Well, it's an optional. So, I'm glad you mentioned that, because price-wise, I intentionally have gone and picked a load of guitars that typically a beginner would buy. So they're all, the two acoustic guitars are both around about £100. The guitar that Rob is playing is £100, or you can buy it with this little amp in a bundle for £149. So you can kind of see that's why we've picked these guitars. So let's talk about the pros and the cons of... I'm going to go back to the nylon string, and I will tell you, in my opinion, the pros and the cons of starting to play on a nylon string. The two standout reasons that a lot of people start on a nylon string guitar is, number one, it's the cheapest of the three styles of guitar to play. So you can actually go out and buy a child-size version of this, which will be okay for about 50 quid. So if you're really no idea if your little one is going to take to it or not, and you really don't want to spend any more than you have to, then maybe nylon string is the way to go. The other big thing that it's got as a benefit over the regular steel string here is the strings are made of nylon, so they're ever so easy to push down. And even if you're a complete novice and your little fingertips haven't hardened up yet, it really doesn't hurt. What I don't like about nylon string guitars though, and I'll go into that, is they have a typically wider fretboard. The style of guitar that these have sort of really been used for is a classical style. Lots of finger picking rather than strumming. It has a wider fretboard to give bigger space between each of the strings. I find that quite difficult, quite cumbersome. And I don't really like the sound of them. You know, they're a really... There's no...
I have to beg to differ. Some of the most beautiful guitar sounds I've ever heard have been on a nylon strung acoustic guitar. I mean, I come from a background where my father played flamenco, Spanish guitar all through my upbringing. So for me, that was the sound of a guitar was a nylon.
For flamenco, obviously, it's the sound to have, and for classical music, it's the sound. But if you're into pop, rock, any kind of modern contemporary music, the chances are, with the odd exception, that the kind of sounds you'll get from a steel string guitar, or even more so from an electric guitar, are going to be way more the kind of sounds that you would go with. But hats off, fair play, you know, to the nylon string guitar. They are super affordable and they don't hurt your fingers. So, but I'm really not the kind of player that plays this, but just ole! Or something like that, he says, as the whole of Spain unsubscribes from this channel.
Not sure if racist or not, but it was amusing.
Okay, steel string. Just in case you're wondering, all the chords, the string tunings, everything are the same on all three of these guitars. So it's quite easy to just jump from one to the other if you know the basics. On a steel string, the neck is typically narrower, which I find is easier to hold like this. The string action is usually a bit lower, but because the strings are made of steel, and on this, these are both made of steel, but because this is an acoustic guitar, it has no amplification, it has to make all the noise itself. These will typically have heavier strings than those, and they are a little harder to push down. So you can hear it's a very different sound. I've been playing a long time, and obviously the tips of my fingers have hardened up a bit, but even on this after a while, you know, I'll begin to go, whew, you know, it's a little bit sore after a while. So bear in mind, again, it may not necessarily be the greatest guitar to learn to play on for a youngster, although again, you can put lighter gauge strings on it.
You can file the nut down slightly, and
yeah, the more money you spend, the lower the string height will become, and so therefore the easier it will be to play. But as I said, this is £99. Sounds pretty good. Plays okay. I like that sound. You know. So there's a sorry, I'll do it again. Go on then, you join in, Rob. That was Miku Gallagher just joined us in at the end there. So the steel string, I like the sounds of it better. The neck width is much more like an electric guitar, so it feels similar. You can play your bluesy kind of. I prefer this over this. So yeah, this is called a steel string acoustic guitar. Again, you can buy lots of different shapes and sizes. Beware though, beware. The cheap versions of this become pretty ropey. I've played guitars that people have brought in from like catalogue guitars and things like that, where they've maybe spent 50, 60 pounds on one of these, and they have impossibly high string heights and bad frets, and you know, so I personally wouldn't recommend spending less than sort of 90 to 100 pounds on one of these. And again, if you buy a brand that you're familiar with, whether it's Epiphone or Fender or Yamaha or something like that, you'll probably get you're going to get a decent guitar. That said, there are loads of brands that you won't have heard of that are all great as well. So I think probably my main advice would just be go to a reputable music shop rather than just buying something that looks nice off the internet. Rob,
what does your kid like to listen to?
Heavy
what do you
metal.
like to listen to? Because basically my point of view on this has always been whatever the individual learning to play the instrument is inspired by and wants to emulate, which is what we all kind of do. You know, I mean, you wanted to emulate people like Eric Clapton, you know, and for me it was people like Peter Green and Joe Satriani. So whoever inspires you, you want to be them. Mm-hmm. You want to play what they're playing. So if you're like really into Metallica and you get given the Nylon String acoustic, you're going to be, your face is going to go, it's not going to, you know. And what you're looking at here is essentially me as a child at school with the school guitar. That's what I did.
I think it sounds. I think probably Enter Sandman should have been released as an acoustic nylon track.
Yeah.
It could work.
But when you're beginning, it's all about that pick-up ability. You want to walk into your room and go and see it and go, oh, I can't wait to play. You know, when I get back from school or work or whatever it is you're doing, because you can begin at any age. You know, so I mean, I think my opinion has always been it's whatever inspires the person to pick it up more. Having said that, with an electric guitar, just to play devil's advocate, you can get pretty much a myriad of sounds. So even with this, let's be honest, affordable amplifier, and I'm being generous, I can get a clean tone, and I've got the gain dialed up, but if I roll it off, now, the other cool thing is that I'm not going to bother doing it now, but I could be very, very quiet and much quieter than those if I don't turn the volume up. And I played for years.
Yeah. Oh, me too. I would say I play 90% at home without the guitar plugged in.
Still sounds great. Still practicing the guitar, and if you're in a room next door, they're probably not going to hear you at all. But you can change the pickup configurations, get different tones, use an amplifier, and then ultimately you can be like. And that's how you got married, I got married, Rabia's in a relationship, and Pete got married.
Well, so again, let's play devil's advocate. Obviously, if you're going to buy an electric guitar plus a guitar amplifier, you're going to be in for more money than it costs you to buy.
Well, but wait a minute there, though, Lee. This guitar, out of the box, and it just came out of a box, is brilliant. It's got a Purple Heart fretboard. It's got a humbucker and 2 single coils. It's got a wood body in a black sparkle finish. It looks pretty damn cool. It's got a really nice feeling neck. The tuners do the job. The bridge is kind of affordable, but does the job as well. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this. And if you wanted to upgrade the pickups, it's a pretty easy thing to do.
Well, I haven't... the East Coast thing is a fairly new brand for Andertons here, and I haven't really told Rob much about it. But in a nutshell, what had happened was the brands that we were trying to sell as the entry-level ones were famous brands, you know, Squier and Yamaha and Epiphone and stuff like that. And I just felt that the price of those had sort of crept up and up and up a little bit. And if we could find a non-famous brand, what's non-famous? An unknown brand, if you like. But find a guitar or a range of guitars where the basic construction of the guitar was really good, but that if we could include in the price as it came into the UK enough for our own technicians to take them out the box, give them a good setup, tune them up properly, blah, 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 so that when the end user gets it, they're just like, oh, great, straight out the box. It feels good.
And you know what?
This would be awesome. And that's what we've done. So this is literally, the guitar on its own, if that's what you want, is £99.
And you know what? You mentioned tuning. This is a really important thing for beginners. Nothing infuriates the beginner more than playing and knowing it's out of tune, but not being able to tune it. Now, the thing is, with a steel-strung electric guitar, if I slightly detune it now, this is what you get when you play it when it's out of tune. So no one wants that.
It's totally, yeah.
Whereas if you tune it back to where it was before, now it's...
There'd be lots of confused people watching this going, oh, wow, is that really how a guitar sounds when you... Anyway, whatever. There is a running joke on this channel and on Rob's channel about a pedal called the Miku. You work it out. What was I going to say? I was going to say, on the subject of tuning, if you do buy this guitar with this amplifier on the Andertons website, it comes in a bundle. So you get the guitar and the amp and some accessories like a cable and a gig bag and stuff like that. And one of the accessories that you get is a handy clip-on tuner, goes on here, and you can keep your guitar in tune all the time.
But you know what? You would be hard-pressed to find a guitar better than this for 99 quid.
Yep, that's my that's the thing. And anyway, if you want to know more, there's a few other videos on the channel that go into more of the range of East Coast guitars and stuff like that. All I know is these are good, and the most important thing though is that our own Andertons technicians give them all the full once over and service and setup before they go to the customer, which is insane for that kind of money. It doesn't happen on any other affordable brand.
Huh.
So there we are. I mean, let's just jam out, Rob, whilst I'll play some blues and you play the solo.
I'll be
over the
really
top.
quiet so that microphone doesn't really
Here we
have
go. Was there anything else to ask? I don't think so. Questions in the comment section below, and we'll do our best to answer them. But hey, good luck on your guitar playing journey. I've been the Captain.
I've been Chappers.
And here we go.